One of my children I could not see was my 8-year-old son. Every time I asked about him, they told me that he was fine, but in another department in the hospital. Later, they told me that my son and my mother were killed in a bombardment. My son was very young, but since the beginning of this war, he had the feeling that he was going to die. He talked to me about this feeling several times. Sometimes he would talk about it in front of my mother, and I would ask him to stop thinking about it because my mother was already very anxious, very stressed. I lost consciousness after learning about the killing of my child and my mother. When I woke up, they started to tell me about the other members of my family who'd been killed. My brother, 40 years old. My brother, 28 years old. His wife, 37 years old. My nephews. They didn't finish until they told me that 8 out of my 15 family members who were staying in that house had been killed. The Israelis didn't warn us before bombarding the house. We just found ourselves under the rubble. They found my mum's body in our neighbor's house because of the intensity of the bombardment. All the men in my family were killed. My brother of 28 years old was the closest one of my brothers to me. He was not only my brother, but also my friend. When I was under the rubble and heard the rescuer, I thought it was him because he always had my back in any problem. After the bombardment, I moved to my sister's house and then to my father-in-law's house. When attacks on that area started, I moved back to another place with my 2 surviving children.
Yes, I've just been asked to make clear that these witness statements were in front of the British government when they decided to continue to send F-35s to bomb Gaza. And I'm going to read another witness testimony. This one is dated 27th of June 2024. And the witness is a volunteer ambulance driver in Gaza. And the statement has been submitted to the court, and in order to protect the witness, names and place names have been deleted. In the hospital yard, they called my name. I stepped forward, and they blindfolded and handcuffed me. They moved us in vehicles that were overcrowded to another place. They then ordered us to sit on the ground while we were entirely naked for 3 hours. During these 3 hours, they kept beating me in different places of my body. They beat me on the neck, the chest, and stomach. The next day, Saturday, February 17th, a bus took us all to another place. We were without food or water all of this time. In the afternoon, they started to take off our blindfolds to take photos of us, and then blindfolded us again. At this point, I asked the soldiers for water. After begging for water, a soldier asked me to open my mouth. I opened my mouth and was shocked that he urinated. Two soldiers surrounded me, one from the right side and one from the left side, and hit me several times in my ribs, which caused fractures in 2 ribs on my right side and 1 rib on my left side. They refused to take me to hospital. I spent 13 days in that place, and then they took me with others to a detention centre. I remained in detention for 2 months, handcuffed and blindfolded. I was beaten every day and was suspended from my arms and feet in the ceiling. They stripped me of my clothes and asked me to turn around several times and laughed and made jokes about my body. We were hungry and begged the soldiers for food, but they refused. During the first week, we were only subjected to torture without any investigation. One person who was detained with us died under torture, and starting from the second week, they started interrogating me. After this interrogation, another soldier came and took me to another room and pretended to show some empathy. He gave me water and asked if he could ask me a few questions. I told him I was very hungry. He provided me with food, and after I ate, he started interrogating me again. He asked me about the whereabouts of some of my relatives. I denied all accusations and told him I did not know anything about them, which made him very angry. And he said he would make you throw up all the food you've just eaten. They took me inside and kept beating me until I threw up all the food I had. Some detainees confessed to things they did not do just to have the torture stop. Until the unbearable pain of torture, under the unbearable pain of torture, some people said they participated in the October 7th events despite the fact they were surprised by it, like all of us. After 2 months in detention, our number reached about 208 individuals. Then they told us that 6 people will be released, and my name was among them. Until today, I cannot believe I have been released. I still pray every day for other detainees who have not been released because I know what they've been suffering. Despite the fact that we live under fire and death in Gaza, the situation for detainees is much worse. It is common to hear people say that they prefer to be shot dead rather than being detained by the Israelis, because in Israeli detention, I died 1,000 times every day.
Thank you. I'm going to pass the mic to Jeremy Corbyn to say a few words before we wrap up.
Thank you very much. And you've just heard those testimonies, all of which were made available to the British government, all of which are public, all of which are well known. Those alone are evidence of the behaviour of the Israeli forces, of the treatment of prisoners. Those alone actually add up to all the case on genocide that was taken to the ICJ by the South African government. A number of us in Parliament have been constantly raising these issues, and I'm joined today by Richard Bergen, Imran Hussain and Ian Byrne, who've all been raising the issues in Parliament every day about the illegality of what's going on and about Britain supplying arms to Israel. Let's just take this thing through. Britain keeps on saying that it has a security cooperation and arrangement with Israel. They refuse to answer questions from me and from others as to what the Royal Air Force Base at Akrotiri is being used for, why there are so many hundreds of flights taking off from it, what are they carrying, where are they going, why are they happening. They won't answer those questions. Keir Starmer went there and rather bizarrely said, there's lots going on here I'm not able to talk to you about. Well, if he's not able to talk to us about it, then I think it's time that he was in front of a court where he'd be forced to answer those questions. Because I've just had enough of the behaviour of the British government in all of this. At every time that we've demanded a suspension or an end to the arms sales, David Lammy came back eventually and said they were suspending 30 licences without telling us what those licences were and maintaining 300 other licences. When we demanded an end to supply of parts for the F-35 jets, they announced that they couldn't stop that because it would halt the global supply chain of F-35 jets. Seems a strange argument, but there you are, that's what he said. And so the next question was, well, is the supply chain so inefficient you don't know where the parts are going? And no answer came to that. Then eventually they said, this they told me last week, they would no longer supply parts for F-35 jets directly to Israel, but they would supply them into the global supply chain, which is a piece of obfuscation that's worthy of any barrack room lawyer. Ridiculous nonsense. Actually, they're still supplying parts for F-35 jets. They are complicit in the bombardment of Gaza, in the killing of children and the killing of people all over Gaza. This generation, our generation here today, are witnessing one of the most vile crimes in history as the Palestinian people are being obliterated by the world's arms dealers and arms suppliers and the Israeli Defense Force. So the case we're taking to the court today is part of that campaign for justice for the Palestinian people. We've all got to do all we can, wherever we can, whenever we can. That means court cases, that means questions in Parliament, that means demonstrations, that means support, and above all it means supporting and understanding the way in which the whole identity and culture of the Palestinian people is under threat. So let's extol the Palestinian people, their history, their culture, their presence, their music, their poetry, their art, all of these things, because that is all part of it. And so today, we're outside the Royal Courts of Justice. It's a beautiful morning. It's a lovely spring day in London. In your mind, just transfer yourself now to Gaza City. Just in your mind, transfer yourself to the rubble you would see on each side of the street as you try to walk down it. Transfer yourself to hungry children desperately looking for a morsel of anything to eat. People desperately thirsty, unable to get clean water. Those in pain, unable to get any help or treatment. I was talking to a surgeon last week, a Palestinian, who had been in Gaza and been working there. And I said, what's it like? And he said, well, I'm a surgeon. I'm there to heal and help people. I can't stand the idea of operating on patients with Dell anesthetic, but it's what I have to do. It's the only thing we can do. So we're here again, and just so in case the British government and the Israeli government have missed the message, we are not going away. We are staying with the Palestinian people as long as it takes. We'll be demonstrating, we'll be marching, we'll be meeting, we'll be demanding, and we'll be exposing the complicity of the British government with the genocide in Gaza. Thank you.
I'm about to wrap up. If it's okay, I'd like to invite Ahmed Rafoul, who is from Gaza, a lawyer with Al-Haq, to say the closing remarks.
Thank you all for showing up. It's really difficult to speak after great speakers. But I think the main message here is that we're before this court as a record of history that the UK government is complicit in the killing of children. As someone who lost over 80 members of his family, I'm here to tell the British government that the blood of our children is on their hands, that the weapons that they send to Israel is tearing our children apart every day, that the military cooperation they have is starving our children to death. You heard some testimonies. It's just the tip of the iceberg of the things that we've been documenting at Al-Haq. Anything you would hear about the situation is supposed to shock human consciousness. Yet the British government acts as they don't see or understand the situation. But the most important message here, I think that despite everything we've been through, despite the loss, the pain, the agony, the dehumanization by the Israeli government, but also by the British government, by extension, by continuing these arms exports. Despite all of this dehumanization, we refuse but to hold on to our humanity. We refuse but to show up here and believe in justice. We refuse but to believe in the rule of law. The UK government prides itself as a bastion of liberty, democracy, and international law. It prides itself as one of the architects of the world order that we had after World War II, as the protector of the promise of never again. Well, now they're actually not honoring this promise. We're here to tell the British government what they're doing is not only betrayal to the Palestinian people and their rights, it's also a betrayal to the promise of never again. It's also destroying the rule of law system that emerged after World War II, which they contributed to, and we tell them clearly, Statmer, his government, and the previous government, they're complicit in the crimes against the Palestinian people. They have blood of Palestinian children on their hands, and history will not be kind to them, and they're failing humanity, and again they're failing the promise of never again. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That's a photo for us. One more.
Hi everyone, my name's Zara Sultana, I'm the MP for Coventry South, and I'm so honoured to be here today because the work that we do in Parliament to hold this government to account for actively facilitating genocide could not happen without the activists, without the lawyers, without every single person who's organising in their workplaces, who's marching in London every single month to show that this country will not be silent when its government continues to facilitate genocide. Every F-35 is built in this country, 15% of it. Without that active support, those jets, those lethal fighter jets, would not fly in the skies, dropping 2,000-pound bombs, destroying Palestinian lives, cities, universities, healthcare infrastructure, and we have a role to play, every single one of us, to stop genocide. And when people say, you know, why are you speaking up? Because nothing is more important than stopping genocide. No one's political career, nothing comes before stopping more lives from being destroyed, for more cities being absolutely flattened. And you think that a Prime Minister who's a human rights lawyer would know better, but I can tell you that is categorically untrue. Parliament has been misled by David Lammy, by Keir Starmer, who have told us that the weapons that are going to Israel are for defensive purposes, that F-35s are not directly going. A new report shows that they have lied, and it's on all of us in Parliament and in the streets and in our communities to hold this government to account. We did it with the Tories. We have to do it when a Labour government that should know better, doesn't know better. And thank you so much for everything that you do, Solidarity.
Thank you, everyone. That's it.